little quick intro for y'all. This is a shout out to staff at Gold Crown for originally putting us on to Lina and the crew and what they do. I got images of the drone soccer piece for that one of the first things, and it was so funky and dynamic and evoked feelings of Harry Potter and tech and engineering and all these different things together. And then I got so hyped about it, I mentioned it to another coordinator or two, and then they got super hyped about it, and then they wanted to find it. That everybody wanted info, and so the Gold Crown staff wound up introducing us to Lina, and when we did, we found out what a beautiful, even on a richer level, what you guys created and what the lab and drone soccer is and can be, and the things that are happening around it. And as we started discussing more about that resource, we also started to find out what a powerful, creative, innovative, ingenuitive, and inspiring story of Lena and her partners building this whole thing up was. And so we've invited her to come and share a little bit more of that dynamic and story, both as an inspiration for the youth and the coordinators for things that, yeah, potentially you could do with that level of innovation and gumption, if you will. Um, so I don't want to take away too much of your details. I will leave it at that, Lena, if that says enough, and pass it over to you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for this opportunity. I love to engage with the public, with our girls, and with the teachers who might not think that they have the power to inspire our youth, our students of colors, our girls into exciting rocket science careers. So, that's my intro. Yes, I am. My name is Lina Pineros. I am originally from Colombia. I've been here in the U.S. on and off the last 8 years. And through all of these aviation careers, we ended up um, founding with my business partner, Kyle, who is in the picture over here, Crew Concept. So we'll talk about, I'll go through my life, and you guys will see how my life experiences can also mirror some of other students out there and how we can help them get into exciting careers. Okay, so as I said, normal kid, normal, life back in Colombia. My parents were always striving to give us the best education, but of course, all parents have limitations, and they had no idea or anything about, you know, tech careers. I never knew what I wanted to do really when I was growing up, because in aviation, the common theme is, oh, I would look up the skies, or every time a plane would cross the air, I would look up, and that's what I wanted to do. Not my case. I knew I wanted to do some sort of engineering program or tech program, but not sure what. I just knew it had to be cool. I wanted it to be cool. I don't know what cool was, but it had to be cool. So, the decision was to, because one of the higher upperclassmen in my high school went to the Air Force Academy in Colombia. So I like, whoa, being a pilot, that would be cool. So that last year, I had just 1 year to figure out, okay, let's go to aviation. So that being said, if a kiddo comes to you and says, hey, I don't know what I want to do, that's fine. That's great. That's a great opportunity to lure them into tech careers that could be exciting and fun. And especially those students with special abilities, or those students that have ADHD and they can see beyond what's in front of them. Aviation offers a lot of things that might seem boring and daunting and dull to us, paperwork and stuff like that. But just know that in aviation, everything we do, it's because somebody died, and we want to prevent that another one from dying. Give me just 1 second. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. My kid is at home and she was making a lot of background noise. So yeah, this was just my life before the Air Force, and I had no idea what it would come up to or what it would, evolve into. So, knowing that my family had relatively slow resources at that moment when I was going into college, I decided to go to the Air Force. I was like, hey, they'll pay for my pilot training, they'll pay for my school. You know, what can go wrong here? So I did. I went into the Colombian Air Force, and through the Colombian Air Force, I got the opportunity and a scholarship to come to the United States Air Force Academy as an international exchange cadet. So I came to Colorado Springs, where I am right now, and I did my 4 years of military training, and I got an engineering degree, aeronautical engineering. So I got my school for free. Of course, there are sacrifices on the way to get to do that, but that's what the clear path for me was, because I saw somebody else do it. So life at the academy was pretty fun, doing my engineering projects, doing my military training, and finally this you know the awaited day came, and I graduated, and it was time to go serve my country. So I went back to Colombia, and I served as a navigator, combat systems officer, in the intel um, branch. So doing intel operations. So looking for the bad guys in between the bushes. And I learned a lot. Of course, the first thing that you learn is, again, everything you do is to preserve your life and preserve the life of those in your crew. So that's a very powerful sense of responsibility at such a young age. That's something you don't think about. You're not there to do a job. You're there also to save your life and to keep everybody else's life around you. So you have to do the right call all the time. How do we get there? Training, tons and tons and tons of training. And it all started in college, and when I got to college, I realized I was behind my peers a lot, because it didn't occur to my dad to, hey, let's go fix the car together. He would do that for my brother, but not for me, because I'm a woman. I'm not implying that he's a bad guy. This is how we grew up. This is the culture that we grew up in. Colombia is a very male machista country, and girls are not taught how to fix a car or how to change a light bulb or how to, I don't know, fix something in your house. So when I got to college and I was supposed to use power tools or to, you know, test materials or anything like that, it was scary. Same when I got into the Air Force. It was scary and intimidating to be in a world full of men, when they would, instead of teaching me or training me, they would take the tools out of my hand and do it themselves. So, of course, as a woman in the military, you have heard the statistics and you have heard the stories. Um, Harassment and bullying and underestimating our intelligence and our roles and our, careers, just because we're women and we look short and young. That's not fun. But the only way we can combat that is giving our girls and our students of color and our students that might not have all those opportunities early on through the work that you guys do. So, yes, beyond entertaining them during the summer, if we put a tool in their hands, if we put a Lego set in their hands, if we put a little bit of danger, a battery or something like that, they would feel capable, and they will feel, when all biases come attacking them, they will say, when somebody tells a girl, oh, drones, no, you're not, drones are not for you, this girl will say, what do you mean? I've been doing it for 3 years now. I've been doing it at school, I've been doing it at my clubhouse, I've been doing it at home. Then those cultural beliefs won't affect them and won't block them as they would block us when we were growing up. This is my pride and joy. the T-90 Kalima. It's hard to see because there was a newspaper article, but you see this cute aircraft over here. We built that. We built that with our hands. I saw it come out of thin air. I think in this aircraft there's even a part that I built myself. I was not supposed to do that because I'm not a certified technician, but I did the part and the technician signed off the paperwork for me. Not exactly legal, but it's part of the things that I wanted to leave behind in this world. It was a teeny tiny part, of course, nothing structural, but it was cool to know that there's a little part of me in there. After the Air Force, now I had to build a career for my own, a career without a uniform, a career without a rank that was giving me a facade a little bit, removing a little bit of that, femininity out of me. So I had to build that you know career for myself. And how did I do that? Learning, taking every opportunity that I could to learn from my elders, even though I outranked them technically because I was the engineer. I would go out in the flat line and in the technicians lounge or whatever and learn from them and walk and be out in the heat and stuff like that. So it is that we need to teach our kiddos, go out there. Don't feel like you don't belong or you can't go out there because you look a certain way or you act a certain way or because you have an accent. Go out there and learn. After a while, the opportunity came along. I was telling just Jeff and Matt that during the pandemic, I've always wanted to get my master's degree, and during the pandemic, U.S. enrollments in colleges and universities were very, very low. So an old classmate of mine called me and said, "Hey, apply to college. I bet you'll get in right away." So I did. I applied and I came, and I came to this country in the middle of a pandemic. As soon as they opened the borders and they opened the embassies, I got my paperwork done, my visa done, and I came here. I came here with my daughter. It's just the two of us. I'm a single mom, and I started working and getting my degree. And this is where I came into the world of drone soccer. My business partner was working in a different company with some of his partners. And after work, and he, of course, they hired me. I started working with them. And after a year or so, we wanted to expand and offer more than just the activity, just the fun, just the excitement of the game. We wanted to offer a real workforce development pathway for our students. Thinking about, hey, what was my barrier? Can I remove that through through my training and through my courses and through my things? So we formed Crew Concept, and we started seeing how the kids would pull the way for us. They are the ones who are setting the pace, because when you give the kids the first tool, they will grab the second and the third from you. They will not wait. They will not hold off. They will tell you 6 months later, what's next? I want to get my certification. I want to get my part 107 license. I want to get, because we have now lured students into breaking those cognitive biases, and this has become now a challenge for them. And again, every time they will approach a student with low resource and low income, will say, oh, this is not for you, this is not your area, this is too risky for you. They will go ahead and tell you, what do you mean? I've been doing it for 2 years, I've been doing it for a semester, I've been doing it at home or with my teacher. So this is where teachers need to, this is where we need our help, basically. This is where we need your help, and this is where we're reaching out to you. Aviation has been gate kept for so many years, and they have turned that, oh, it's rocket science phrase into a scary one, to have just teachers out there saying, oh, I cannot teach any aviation courses or drone courses because I'm not in aviation, and that's not true. We've had, so this is what inspired me to start Crew Concept program. All of these numbers represent the industry right now. We are in dire need of those professionals out there. But we don't have enough teachers to train them and teach them and bring them into this world. We have had basketball coaches become the drone soccer coach for their school, and they've done amazing. And now this basketball coach has a Part 107 license, and they can fly drones commercially. This is not rocket science. It is, but rocket science is not hard. Is what I was just talking with Jeff and Matt. They always tell us, oh, math is hard or science is hard. Even myself, I had the hardest time calling myself a scientist. I am. I have the engineering degree and the work to do it, to prove it. But it is something that they don't let us enjoy fully. That is something that they don't let us embrace fully, because they put all these cultural biases on us before we even get there. So that's where I need your help as teachers, as educators, as mentors to all of these kids. Show them, yes, you can. So this is just a couple pictures. This is our kids flying. This is our kids fixing drones. Where do you see an adult nearby? We have given them the tools and they hit the ground running. And they have surprised us, and they have been amazing, because we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 teachers that decided, okay, I can do rocket science. I can do this. This is easy. I'm here to help, of course. I will guide you and hold your hands. But we need you guys to be brave and say, yes, I can do this, and remove those barriers from your own heads, so that you don't let your students get those barriers in their heads. This is why I do this. This is our USA team. They went to compete in Korea at the FIDA World Championship. This was 2 years ago. They came back with 3rd place worldwide. They did an amazing job. And they competed with adults. These kids over here are high school students. At the point, they were juniors and sophomores in high school. And they went there and they acted like total aces. Kyle is my business partner. He went with them with another teacher, Robbie Ferguson. He's an aviation teacher at Westminster High School here in Denver, Colorado. Kyle was a C-130 pilot. He worked in the Air Force. He was in combat missions. He did, the whole scary things. And he said, I have never seen a crew work together so flawlessly in my entire career. These kids worked like true professionals. They talked to each other. They collaborated. They made sure that nobody was left behind. They made sure they were taking care of each other and that they were all safe. They made sure that everybody was learning and having a good time. This is what aviation does for us. Because now we have become a crew. Now if we fall together, we die together. But if we take care of each other, we go home at the end of the day with a smile on our face and doing something cool in the air, right? And this is just a question for you guys. If I could master 3 things, what would they be? I want to be a pilot. That's a frustrated dream of mine. I wanted to go into the Air Force to be a pilot, but due to my height, I am vertically challenged. I couldn't be a pilot in the Air Force, but I can still go do my hours in a commercial pilot license and be a pilot. So I still want to do that, and I will do that, and that will make me better to talk to you guys and talk to our girls and say, yes, you can do this, no matter the age, no matter the way you do it, just do it. I want to learn a 3rd language. This is just a personal one. And the last one is to be confident, celebrate my accomplishments. Every time they do these introductions and say that how amazing my career has been, or how amazing the work that we're doing has been, I get a little bit of imposter syndrome. But I need to not do that and not show that and not say that, because I don't want other girls watching me see that. So it's just food for thought. What would you master? 3 things that you would like to master regardless of how advanced in your career you are. There's always that you can master, and there's something that you can always share with your students. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was a good message, and I hope that you guys now get inspired to, in any way you can, bring students into the aviation world.
Thanks, Lina. I'm realizing too, I maybe should give a little bit more hype for the drone soccer concept in the intro.
Yes.
Wondering is if as we open it up for questions for everyone, if you
Yeah.
want to maybe start it off with like the where you are now, and just saying a little more about like what this wild thing of drone soccer looks
Okay.
like, person in the
Yeah,
program.
I can show you guys a quick video if you want. That will explain it a lot better.
Sure.
Okay, let me see if I can find a couple videos that are really good.
Yeah, seeing it was a whole other flip. It is such a dynamic, and the idea of like looking at that team lined up and talking about basketball coaches switching over to drone soccer, like the interplay with that in like the sport, but it's in the air and flying and there's lights. It is such a cool visual.
It is. Yeah. Now talking about the sport and the pitch sail, which I don't want to call it that, but yes. Drone soccer is a sport that was born in South Korea. It's played with 10 drones in the air at the same time, all inside of a netted area. So what we try to do here is to camouflage the aviation world into a fun game. Kids don't feel like, usually out there the aviation programs are very theory heavy. They're boring. It seems hard. The kids are intimidated. Sorry, let me start. But we mix this up in a fun environment and a fun activity, so that the kids don't feel intimidated, so that the kids don't feel that they're let me see if I can share this tab instead. They feel like they're doing something fun, something exciting. And as I said, as they start discovering this world of drones, it is their, drive, and it is their passion, and of course the competition a little bit, that will get them pushing into the next level. Let me see if I can find this one. Okay. Can you guys see that? I just have to make sure that we have the video.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, the audio share. Okay, here we go. There you go.
Sarah Hillard teaches drones, 3D printing, and robotics at Millennial Tech Middle School, and now she's the drone soccer coach.
Drone soccer is a 5-on-5 competition, very similar to soccer in the position. So you have a forward and a striker trying to score, and then you have a keeper or a goalie.
Each match is 3 sets of competition with 3 to 5 minute long repair breaks in between.
We line up 5 on one side and 5 on the other side. The referee raises his hands and the kids arm their drones, and then they all take off.
Hillard's kids aren't new to drones, but they are new to drone soccer. She says they only had 1 day to learn how to fix and fly the drones.
I'm really proud of the kids here. You know, it's a lot to come to a competition where you maybe aren't gonna do as well as you would like.
But the scores aren't really the point. These kids are learning and having fun.
We are the MTM Wolves. Don't be nervous.
Get ready, get excited. Pilots, get revved up and ready for flight. On your drone, fly.
Like buzzing bees lit up with LED lights, the drones zip away, then bang into each other. Someone scores. Parents cheer, and the kids are all smiles. About 20 teams from all over the world are in town for the tournament.
Oh, there's teams from everywhere. They're from South Korea, they're from Turkey. The Colorado Westminster team has been a huge help to us.
Learning for learning's sake is enough for something like this. But the experience of flying drones has a ton of career potential.
Right now, there's thousands of jobs available, but nowhere, no professionals ready to fill them.
Crew Concept is one of the tournament's sponsors. The company trains students for aerospace jobs. Lina Pineros is a co-founder and says the whole industry suffers from a lack of diversity.
83% of the aviation-rated professionals are men.
Breaking down those barriers is exactly what students at Millennial Tech Middle are doing.
We had a little bit of problems with them at first. We got to fix them, and now, I mean, we're here. I scored 2 points today, and that was fun for me.
The tournament and career fair continue through the 25th.
It was really fun. I do recommend this to people. It's really fun.
Matthew Bowler, KPBS News.
Yes, I hope that gives you guys a better visual, and maybe me talking about it is not a good enough description, but when you see the faces on the kids, it's like you're hooked.
I just have to say, Lena, that was so cool. That's actually the first time I've seen it on video, and that's part of this whole thing is just how we approach learning at the and career pathways at the Clubhouse Network is the kids enjoying themselves, don't even think that they're learning something, and then the next thing you know, they have the skill set, and then you have mentors and the coordinators of course there to remind them that actually what you're doing is highly valuable and a skill set that could lead to a career path. So thank you. Amazing.
Of course, and as you guys all know, right now we're canceling. There's flights getting canceled all over the country. The crisis with the air traffic controllers. These are now jobs that are very well paid. Your students can, at an entry level, start making $80,000-$90,000 up to, six-figure salaries all over the country. And the entry level is not as hard as people think. Yes, being a pilot is expensive, but an air traffic controller, you don't even need a bachelor's degree. It's an associate's degree that you go and get. And right now they're hiring people out of the street because they're needing them right now. Being a drone pilot, it only takes, some studying, self-studying, and $180 to take your test with the FAA. That's it. And you can start making $50 an hour flying a drone. So it's just to show you guys that there is no limit. There's many, many ways to get there, and they don't necessarily require a huge investment or a citizenship or a 4-year career. There's many entryways, and I've had many maintenance technicians that are might work with me, or were my friends in the Air Force, and they started as aircraft technicians, and they as they worked, they paid for their hours, and they jumped into the cockpit as pilots later on. So there is no one path, but there are many entryways into the industry.
Lena, I have a question. Can you describe some of the opportunities that are specifically in the drone space, right? So, like, what are some of the careers that you've seen or heard out there? Some of them that may relate to like LiDAR technology or any of that.
Right. Good. That's a great question. So there's two main areas that is imagery and video. So Hollywood needs images. Real estate agents need images. Videography, as taking pictures of weddings and images of weddings and videos and all that stuff. they're so much better when you have a drone to share those images. So even if you don't want to be a pilot per se, you want to be a real estate agent, but you get your own license and now you take your own images and now your products are featured a lot better. With the data, so radar systems that don't necessarily need pictures. It's agriculture. It's surveying, like civil engineering and all that stuff, taking maps and 3D images of different areas. Of course, one that it's big one is law enforcement, so search and rescue, law enforcement. I don't know if you saw in the news, it was a scary situation where a kiddo had a gun in his hand. It was just a young kid that probably found his dad's gun, and since he didn't know how to manage the gun and he wouldn't let go, they had to bring in a drone so that the police would know where the kid was to not use excessive force, because it's just a kid. And they used the drone to fly over him, locate him exactly where he was in his backyard, so that the cops can come in and control the situation in an effective and using the least force possible for this kiddo. The other one that they're using a lot, and it's very, very helpful, especially states that have a lot of snow. Here in Colorado Springs, the city of Colorado Springs have now used drones to tell the snow plows where to go first, what area needs more attention, what is more critical. Instead of sending somebody in their car out to be, risking their lives trying to see where the snow is, they just send out a drone, and the drone says, hey, this area needs more attention, and they go out and clear out the snow there. Forest fires, it is easier to locate the source or the nucleus of the fire to be able to fly over it more effectively. There's so many uses with the drones, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a drone pilot. Yes, you can be a real estate agent with a drone license. You can work for the utilities companies with a drone license. Power companies, cell phone companies, instead of sending a person up their towers, risking their lives to do inspections, they now send a drone. It takes them 20 minutes to take the images they need. Nobody has risked their lives. Drone comes back, and now they have a full inspection of that tower. So I believe drones is not so much the job itself, is how we enhance other industries with that drone so that we can do things easier, faster, more economically. But of course, we are protecting the life that would have to be risked, would have taken that risk to do that job that the drone can do.
That's such priceless info. Chantal, I saw you just came off. Did you have a question for Lina?
Yeah, so Lina, I was curious, what advice would you give to the clubhouses if we're looking to delve into this? Because obviously there's a lot of potential here in terms of career, and it really spans industries. So there's kind of something for everybody. What advice would you give to us to kind of move us in that direction?
Can I give you the business answer?
You can give me whatever you want. You give me.
Start drone soccer. Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Just
Listen, it looks so fun, Lina. I want to play drone soccer. I'm down.
Yes. No, the first thing you need to do is locate that person, that teacher, that coach that will be that mentor for the kids. So again, you have to find a person that has some affinity with the technical world. It's not easy, but more is that person who connects really well with the students. I'm guessing you guys do, because that's what you do in your daily lives, connect with your students. But find that person that is willing to commit to this entire process, and the person that is willing to explore the world of drones. Yes, they will have to learn a little bit. We're there to help, but once their kids say, hey, I want to get my Part 107 license, then that teacher is going to have to get their own Part 107 license so that they know, hey, this is what we need to study so that you guys can pass, right? So it's about finding that right person to lead this challenge. The second is, of course, the space, and make sure that you're complying with all the rules and regulations. It's not just buying a drone and going outside in the patio and trying to fly it, because you can get in a lot of trouble with the FAA and the police and all that stuff. But it's figuring out the way to do it in a safe way for your students. We don't want a drone flying in somebody else's face, because that's a lot of liability. So I would say doing a little bit of research on what kind of activities can I do with drones, keeping everybody safe. That's why we love drone soccer, because it's very easy to inflate your arena, get your drones going, everybody safe. We've had very minor accidents or incidents, scrapes and things like that, but we have dive into the whole safety aspect of it. And then the last part would be to find in your community the connection with the industry that it's around in your area. So we usually have the police force come to our events, and the police guys, the drone guys in the police force, will play a match with the kids, all in fun and games. Our kids will always destroy them, but just find that connection where the kids will say, yes, that person that's doing that job is waiting for me to join them. So if you're in an agriculture area, find that farmer that has a drone and is using it for his job. If you are in a city, the police force and the power and the fire department are really good resources. They love to come and join your events. A real estate agent, as I said, maybe you have a real estate agent that would like to come and show what they do in their jobs. So it's finding that connection with the industry so that the program doesn't die, because it's fun for a year and then they don't want to go anymore, but it's something that the kids go because they're looking up to that person in your community that now makes money out of that business.
Can I ask you a quick little technical follow-up to that too, Lina? Speaking of making bit money off of the drone business, would you mind sharing what the Part 107 license is, kind of like the pathway, and then what that opens up for a pilot once they have it?
Okay, so when you are flying a drone, it's not that you can go to Target and get a random drone and start flying wherever you want. The FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration, what is it? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which they govern everything that has to do with the airspace. So just like we all use the roads and either walk or drive or ride our bikes or whatever within the roads, and we all have to comply with the rules and regulations of the road, there's the same rules and regulations of the air, and we all have to comply with them, whether we're just walking around, whether we're flying a drone, or whether we have a job in the industry. So the FAA has two different licenses that we would have to get in order to fly a drone. The first one, and that's something that I would encourage all of your students to get, is the Trust Certificate. The Trust Certificate is the recreational license. So even if you're not, doing it for a sport, or if you just buy a drone and Target and go fly it outside, you need to have your Trust Certificate. That means that you know the rules of the air. For instance, right now in Colorado Springs, we have a no-fly zone because the Thunderbirds are practicing for the air show for Air Force graduation the next couple days. So we have a no-fly zone in place. So if I'm a responsible drone owner and drone pilot, I go into there's an app that is called Before You Fly, and I check my app and say, hey, can I fly in this area? Can I not fly in this area? Because that changes daily. So that's what they teach you with the Trust Certificate. Observe what the rules and regulations at the moment are. The second license is if you want to make money with your drone, you need a Part 107 license. The license to get that license, you are not required to get a specific course. It's a self-study test. So you can go study out of the internet. You can pay for a course. There's so many offerings out there. Or in your case, you guys can train your students to make sure that they pass the test. Once you have that license, or once you have passed the test and you get the FAA certificate, you can now make money with your drone. So you can fly for real estate, you can fly for drone delivery companies, you can drive with whatever gives you money with that license. So even remember I told you guys that we are a bunch of our students that have been doing drone soccer for a while, for about 4 years. They are now juniors in high school. And they are, during the summer, they're working for a roofing company and they're doing roofing inspections for people's homes. And they need to have a Part 107 license so that they can go fly around your house. So yes, anybody that will make, and then the other requirement is depending on the drone that you're using and the weight that of your drone, you would have to go and get your drone registered with the FAA. That one is super easy. It takes $5. You just put in the data of your drone and make sure that you label it according to the rules and regulations. And now you can fly your drone where is allowed. There's also a lot of civil laws, especially privacy laws. If you're flying a drone with a camera, make sure people around you know so that they're not suing you for looking over their fence with a camera and stuff like that. But that's more on the civil side. But on the aviation side is to make sure that you follow of the rules of the airspace.
Nice.
Yes, I was going to find the FAA site.
Yeah, thanks. And while she's doing that, some more questions for Lina?
That was pretty thorough. I think you covered quite a bit. Thank you so much, Lina.
Of course. Put it in the chat real quick. And then, of course, if you want to know more about other careers, there you go. There's the FAA site on the commercial flyer. As I said, I started my life in crude aviation, if you will. So if you want to learn more about that, there's a lot of colleges in the different areas. That's also a good point to start doing partnerships of the local clubhouses with their local schools that offer some sort of class training, workforce development pathway, because there's many ways that students can get dual credit classes while in high school, so that when they go into those aviation pathways, they have, some of the credits done. So that's another, advice I can give you guys. Go reach out to the local colleges, and if they have an aviation or drone program, they are very likely to collaborate with you, because it is good for them to have that feeder program that feeds into their offered program, especially right now. Air traffic controllers and aviation mechanics are needed immensely all over the country.
Thanks. Al, just saw you come in too. Any somebody raised it. Oh, was that me? Lina just shared a bunch about her story and the organization that she runs. But if you have general drone questions, she's taking those as well now. So feel free to pop in, Al, to unmute her, or come in the chat if you have any questions you want to ask. So Lina.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lina.
There's a lot of organizations that are also offering scholarships for pilot training and all that stuff. So look into your Women in Aviation local chapters. There's a African American organization too that offers scholarships for minority students. That's escaping my head right now, but they offer scholarships to bring or to move the needle in the diversity efforts within the aviation community.
Can I ask one thing about us in the video too? Speaking of kind of like access in this case, I saw there was a young individual in a wheelchair in the first shot, and thinking about the athletics aspect of this, and then the access that's kind of like it opens up. Have you had a lot of experience seeing that this is providing a chance for folks with those kind of like physical issues to participate in
Yeah.
athletics in the form of drones?
Yes, not only the physical is aspect of disability, but also students that are on the spectrum or with some sort of cerebral palsy, they can be very effective in drone soccer because they don't need to be active. Let's face it, those of us that are geeks like me, that like airplanes, not necessarily the soccer jocks. So this is an opportunity to give the students an opportunity to be in a team environment without necessarily having to go run miles and stuff like that. Yes, physical activity is important. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not as challenging for somebody to put themselves out there when the abilities need to be eye-hand coordination. So yes, we can cover a lot of disabilities. In the physical side, of course, there's kids in a wheelchair or kids with any walking assisted device. They can be there. Of course, they can use their glasses. They can use whatever other things. Hearing disabilities are not a big issue here. You do have to have the visual, the sight working correctly, even with aids. And then, of course, some sort of way to move your controllers so that you can fly live. For some students that have the sensory overload problem, we can do some accommodations because, yes, it is very loud and all the noises and all the screams and all the lights in the drones can be overwhelming. So maybe those accommodations can be a smaller group with fewer drones. And of course, we can turn the lights off and give them noise canceling headphones so that it will be better. Our goal is pretty close here. We're hoping to launch a simulated version of the sport. So students that might be, at their homes because they cannot be exposed to the public if they have some sort of disease that they need to be in a controlled environment, or students that have a very heavy sensory overload that might be easier for them to be alone in their computer. We are hoping to launch a simulated version so that they can all participate through a computer. At this point, our program does offer an FPV simulator. So it's basically just one drone going through a course. So if you have the radios that our partners produce, of course, our technical partners produce, you can just log in, plug in your radio, and the simulator will recognize that the radio is the same manufacturer, and it will unlock all of the simulated features of the software. But our hope is to have more options for kiddos, not only with disabilities, but those who live in remote areas that not necessarily can come and travel to be in that team environment. So sort of like esports nowadays. We're bringing a lot of thought into this.
Yeah. I have one more question, Lina. In your experience, like just talking about best practices, is it beneficial to have like the young people get a group of young people, get drones in their hand, and then have them using the technology and learning about it, as opposed to starting off with here's the drones, and by the way, here's the training for the FAA, stuff like seeds that lead to the FAA licenses.
Right.
Yeah, which is like, do you do both? Do you do one to get the hook into them and then introduce it later? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've seen a couple things. In younger students, the eye-hand coordination development is a lot easier. So for us, the middle schoolers have done a better job when they get introduced at that 12, 13 age. So that is, if you have the opportunity to expose them early, that's where we remove the early barriers, eye-hand coordination, use of tools. You give them the opportunity to have tools in their hands and stuff like that. So develop those, dexterity skills. On the older students, yes, you want to introduce, yes, this is fun, but fairly quickly introduce what are you going to do with your life kind of speech. And what drone soccer allows you to do is to see the students will fall naturally into different roles. There are the kids that, they want to be first at everything and they want to be the showcase, and well, those are your pilots, your strikers, the kid that is scoring all the points. But then you always have the kid that wants to be behind the computer, or the kid that only wants to do the maintenance of the drone, or the kid that is very comfortable being the defense on that team. As you see their personalities evolve through the game, you can guide them into the careers that would adapt better for them, where they would be more successful.
That's a
So
great.
so the kiddos that like to be behind the computer, guide them towards the computer sciences. The kids that only wants to be first and want to be the fastest, those are your fighter pilots, those are your combat pilots, and those are your doctors and surgeons as well, if we want to go into a different field. The kids that want to be in the background with the maintenance and all that stuff, yes, those are your engineers, your maintainers, but they are also your business developers. They are your logistics coordinators. Those are the kids who are always looking at all of the big picture and coordinating the team so that everybody can fulfill their role. I feel that that's more of my role and my characteristics. I like to be on the background. I don't like to be in the spotlight. But I'm back here making sure that everybody on my team have what they need to do their job. So exposing this to the students that are trying to decide, what do I do with my life? I have no idea. Your juniors and seniors in high school that are a little off and that they needed that additional push, giving them that role on that team, and then saying, hey, you know what, you would be very, very good as an engineer or as a pilot or as a doctor. Whatever skills they start showing or excelling at, that's the career field that you can help them guide into.
Nice.
Great, thank you.
And I know we're officially at time, but Al has a question, and I will say, if folks want to, we'll do an official wrap after Al asks a question. If folks want to stick on for that, I will give you one more little tidbit of practical potential info for you all after we wrap that. So yeah, and if you all are good, fine to keep this room open while you go down that question. Yeah. Al?
I'm happy to say, yeah.
No.
How you doing, guys? Nice to see you again in real person.
Yeah, we saw each other's avatars last time.
Yeah. How are you, Lina? I'm here at Reston Teen Center, which is one of the clubhouses in Fairfax County. In the past, we've been doing something called the Rec Foundation Drone Competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard about this soccer competition or something like that. That's what I was interested in listening to this. But I was in another meeting, so I wasn't.
It's okay.
Then, but do you know about the Rec Foundation competition compared to the one you have, and if you understand both of them, what is the main difference that you see between the two of them?
Yes, that's a great question. So our competitions are very different. That's why they can be very complementary. So if you already have a Rake Foundation team and you guys are building their drones for their challenges, that's great. However, Rake Foundation, they usually have working on one drone that's going to go into the challenge. So if you have 20 kids and only 2 or 3 are actively working on the drone, you have 15 more that are just walking around the room because they have nothing to do, right? Is that your case?
No, it's not. Because if we have 20 kids, then we buy 5 drones.
Right.
7
But
drones.
in this way, but how many can compete on the?
All of them.
All of them will compete. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Actually, we had our last group of team were 4 teams of 3 kids.
That's awesome.
Team. Yeah.
That's good, because a lot of we've heard this from a lot of schools that they can only afford to buy 1 or 2 kits of equipment, so they have to figure out what to do with the other kits that are not actively working on the drone. Right. So this is a good way to make sure that they all have something that they're working on. So some of them can be flying on the simulator, some of them can be flying on the net with the soccer drones, while others finalize their drone. The other thing is Rake Foundation doesn't go year round necessarily all the time. So you work on it for one semester, but then the other semester you might not have to necessarily something to do. So they can keep working with their skills with the drone soccer balls or with the simulator option and anything like that. So it's a way to help you manage your classroom and the group of students that you have in different activities that they all cover the same topics.
Okay.
And then
Now,
the other difference here is, yes, when you're flying, it's one student flying, the rest are observing, of course, and stuff like that. But here, you have many kids flying at the same time, so they have to talk. They have to act like a team in a high-paced environment. So the Rake Foundation, yes, you're working on this project. You're taking your time, and then one only kid suffers through the pressure of flying. Here you have all of these kids flying at the same time, and under that pressure having to communicate as they're flying. That's a skill to master, because nowadays in the aviation world, in any world, we have to think on our feet and think critically and take decisions on the spot. So that's why it masters different sets of abilities and skills in different students.
All right, Lina, you're incredible.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
thank you, guys.
Yeah, so much info. Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is awesome. And this is a great way to help me with my mission to bring more kiddos into this world.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks for staying late.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, cheers.